What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. I'm currently building a massive Lego sci-fi city called Moenia Prime, and right now, it's got a big problem. Dangerous gangs like the Diodes have moved in, taken over apartment buildings, and are currently terrorizing the helpless citizens. The HADF is busy fighting mechs, so today I need to create a state-of-the-art, well-armed police force that's fast enough to catch these unruly gang members and lock them up in the brand new police station. So don't forget to open fire on that like button, and let's get building. A few weeks ago, I was watching a video from VPLO Studios where he was building a Lego city and saw he used these Lego police cars to patrol the streets. This gave me the idea to create a police force of my own, so I picked up 3 of the sets on Amazon, which were on sale for so cheap even Mr. Krabs wouldn't be able to resist. The reason I like this particular set, besides the fact it's dirt cheap, is because the base model looks surprisingly good for its price point and will be super easy to modify into a more futuristic model. I'm going to remove most of the boxy exterior and replace it with blue and white wedge plates and slopes, basically making the vehicle look more like a spaceship, since that's pretty much every depiction of a car from the future. I needed a new windshield as well, and after a little trial and error, I came up with a brick built one that makes the car look even more sporty and menacing. I knew the most important factor to pulling off the future look would be in the wheels, so I capped off each one with a dark blue dish. The set also comes with a cop who's a good starter minifig, but is only armed with a flashlight and winning smile, which doesn't do much against swords, so it's time to level up. I found this cool white armor piece that covers quite a bit of the torso and an awesome helmet that gives the police officer that faceless intimidation factor needed for any good enforcer in a dystopian society. Now I have a heavily armored, no-nonsense police force armed and ready to crack down on the local gang activity, who now have no chance of outrunning the law in their new fleet of police cruisers. But the Diodes are still causing problems, and there's no place to hold the gang members until they have a chance to cool down, so now it's time to build a police station. And maybe a donut shop. Cops get hungry too. Back in April, when I was first dreaming up Moenia Prime, I made a building for a small mock. This was the first structure of the city, and while I was very happy with how it looked, I had no idea what it was. Too big to be a house, and too small to be an office building. It was just sitting around until I realized this would make the perfect police precinct. I'm gonna build a few more levels to raise up the overall height of this now skyscraper, and because I want to add a jail sandwiched in the middle of the structure. Each level is pretty easy to build and has stacks of trans blue cylinders acting as windows, letting in light, since I don't want the employees working in a dungeon. After stacking the new levels, I started on the jail. Unlike the well-lit office spaces above and below, this part will have no windows and reinforced steel walls to prevent any bold escape attempts or incursions. I'm sticking with muted gray colors to match the overall vibe of the building, going against the age-old Lego tradition of making a blue and white police station, but this isn't a Culver's after all. I'm using laser walls instead of conventional bars and doors for holding the criminals until they can be moved to a more secure facility. I tiled off the top of the walls, adding a couple studs to each side. I thought it would be all smooth sailing once the building was done, but I accidentally almost banished this into an early retirement when I didn't line up the bottom correctly, and this happened. After I finished hyperventilating, I readjusted the camera and properly attached the building to its base, giving the police officers an official headquarters to operate from. I feel like the gangs are now at a severe disadvantage, so it's time to level the playing field a little. Someone suggested adding a motorbike gang, and while that's not quite the vibe I'm going for with the Diodes, I thought some motorbikes would be a cool addition and give the gang members the ability to outpace pursuing police cruisers. The Diode colors are black and red, so I'm going to build a black base with red highlights. I'm still trying to get better at building large vehicles with 4 wheels, so this much smaller build was even more of a challenge, and so far I feel like this motorcycle attempt is the size of a young elephant, and well, they might as well be riding war elephants at this point. I'm using the same dish technique to futurify this bike, and I built some custom handlebars with a set of gauges on top. And honestly, once the whole thing was done and the driver was attached, this doesn't look so bad. The bigger body makes it more fearsome and powerful, like it could easily zip around pretty fast, leaving the police in the dust. Just like the police were earlier, the mighty Diodes are currently homeless.
What did he say?
In the last episode, I was working on the residential district of Moenia Prime, making apartment buildings for people to live in. I started one design, but I have another more futuristic one in mind. This building uses a lot of pieces and colors I don't normally work with, so I had to turn to my old friend Bricklink, hunting down slopes and colors like dark red and bright light blue. This apartment is a series of cubes stacked on top of each other with tube-like balconies popping out of the sides of each one. I got the overall idea from this famous building called Nakagin Capsule Tower. I love the blend of brutalist and pod architecture on display here, and while I'm going to capture the same spirit of pod living, I'm going to execute it differently. This is what each cube will look like: 4 walls with wedge bricks on the sides to smooth out the corners. I went with dark tan for the main color since much of the city will be gray and I want to contrast with that when possible. Plus this will make the building a little bit more inviting. Each wall is going to get some bricks with holes in them that'll be the connection points for balconies. And the back wall on each cube will be left blank for pipe greebling. The cube design is shaping out just as I'd hoped and will be big enough to look like it can actually house people. The stacks of wedge bricks are a weak point though since they don't connect to anything, so I ran a row of plates and tile across the roof to connect everything together more securely. I need an easy way to stack the cubes without them sliding around, so I built a support in the center and stuck a headlight brick on top. This combined with the tiled off roof will allow for easy stacking and sliding around so I can position the cubes at different angles. Once the first cube has been designed, I hit copy and paste until I had enough for a building. Let me know what you think of this apartment building design and history so far. All the cube roofs look like this for easy stacking, but I can't do that for the final one since it'll be exposed, so I'm going to build a small communal area on top, perfect for spotting incoming police raids or ice cream trucks. It'll be walled off, but have holes in the walls for draining excess rainwater, since no one wants to go up top and discover an impromptu swimming pool, which would immediately drain into the open roof hatch. The floor is going to be comprised of dark red 2x2 tiles, which goes with the dark tan nicely. It can get real sunny and hot in Moenia Prime, so a pavilion of some kind is needed to provide a little shade. In one corner, there will be a giant antenna with satellites and lights, getting the lord of this diode nest his secret plans and Saturday morning cartoons. I strung a cable around the antenna to help keep it stable, and it can also be used to hang stuff on. I affixed the rain gutters on the draining holes to better channel the water, and because little stuff like this will help make the apartment look better and feel more real. The diodes having a banner on their apartment might feel a little medieval, but I feel like if I can make it look right, it'll just make the building feel more otherworldly, and we have all kinds of advertisements and flags on our building, so it shouldn't look that out of place. Let me know in the comments if you think there's anything else I should add to the apartment. We now return to the cubes. I left an opening on each one framed by a 1x brick with holes in them. I thought for a while on how I wanted the pods to look. They needed to be round, but a complete circle is too hard to build and wouldn't be very practical to stand on, so I eventually landed on building two halves of a rounded tube using large round slopes. Those have been such a pain to source and are surprisingly expensive, so it took a while to get what I needed, but they created just the right shape I wanted, so I just went with it. The bottom half of each pod has headlight bricks on one end, which will connect to the holes in the wall, hopefully with a strong enough connection to support the whole pod. The inside is a glass door leading out to the balcony and a railing on the end so people can go outside and pretend they don't live in a tin can of an apartment. I want to build the pods in a variety of different colors to represent the occupants doing their best to express some personality and autonomy by coloring their living spaces and making them more vibrant, also giving the city some more color. These pods are beautiful, and I tried to pick colors that matched each other to create some cool color combinations, but all this work and planning is for naught if the pods can't stay connected to the walls. To my immense relief, the bottom half fits snugly into place and the top half slid on, pressing right up against the wall with little to no gaps, creating some really cool looking balconies and windows. And it's been very refreshing to work with some new LEGO colors for a change. I built them in different lengths as well to create a tapered effect when stacked on top of each other. Surprisingly, the base was the most challenging part. I designed two different versions, a simple one on the left and a fancier, more detailed version on the right. Surprisingly, the more detailed one didn't look as good or feel right. I realized even though it looked better, the extra detail made it feel too ornate, almost like a castle or some kind of old build, whereas the simpler, more blocky version felt more futuristic and matched the cubes above. But I'd love to know what you guys think about these two designs in the comments. With all the sections done, I can stack everything together and see how it all looks. Moenia Prime is 2 steps closer to being done, and now I have a place to base my police force around to help keep the city safe. The next step for this station will be to finish the area around it. I want to make some kind of underground parking garage entrance so the officers have a place to park their cruisers that's not on the street. And I want to expand the common areas around the building so it's not as close to the road and so people can set up some food stands for hungry workers. As cool as the police station is, this apartment building takes the cake. It was such a fun yet challenging structure to make and should be a great hideout for the diodes when running from the police. But just like the police station, I need to finish the area around it. I'm thinking about running a couple lines of trees up to the door and maybe some kind of small building or false wall nearby to hide motorcycles. Some kind of small park or hangout area in the front will also help it look more unassuming to prying eyes. This top part is my favorite section of the whole thing. It feels very sci-fi-esque even with the banner, and I added some smaller flags as decorations strung along the cable. I already have a second version in the works and can't wait to assemble all the buildings of the residential district. I've been making a lot of progress with the various buildings, but Moenia Prime is hardly beginning to look like a city. This is the first time I've ever started a MOC without laying down the base plates and building the foundations. This new approach frees me up to work on more interesting things, but I can't get too far along without any infrastructure, and there's a lot to figure out, like how big the road should be, or if it should be a mostly walking-only city with few roads and monorails up above. But those are all things future Ethan has to deal with. That's a wrap for this episode. Don't forget to let me know which building was your favorite, and until next time, happy building.